Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Holly and you're watching our last report of the day on kalkinemedia live from Sydney. This is the last trade. Now, in the 6 weeks so far of 2022, investors have been preoccupied with the expected response of central banks to rising inflation rates. The latest figures from the US, 7.5% in January, leaving many wondering how far the Federal Reserve might go to bring the highest inflation in 40 years under control. To top this off, increasing tensions on Ukraine's border and alarming US warnings of conflict are adding to worries. And while these macroeconomic factors continue grabbing headlines, let's move on to the local bourse performance for the first day of the week. Today, the ASX 200 closed up, gaining 26.60 points, or 0.37%. Over the last 5 days, the index has gained 1.87, but it's still down 2.7% for the last year to date. Then on the sectoral front, 6 of 11 sectors were higher, with energy as the best performer, gaining 2.98% and 2% over the past 5 days. Then gold and energy stocks ruled the gainers list of the ASX 200 today, with the best performer being Beach Energy, up a whopping 8.4%, as their shares soared to a 10-month high thanks to a strong increase in profit during the first 6 months of the year. Another winner today was Ramelius Resources, up 8.3%, very similar there, and followed by Evolution Mining, up 7%. Other stocks on the winners bench include Regis Resources, Silver Lake Resources, and then on the other side of the red zone of the ASX, we've got Novanix Limited, the top laggard, its stock down 10%. Other stocks in this list include Imugene, Liontown Resources, Zipco, and Pilbara Minerals. And now for a look at a few stocks that interested investors today, starting with Boral, which announced a $1 billion profit after divesting businesses. Sales were constrained by the lockdowns across Sydney, Victoria and South Australia. But the company has also said that revenue for the current June half year will be higher than the December half year, displaying the impact of out-of-cycle national price increases effective January to February. And today, shares traded in the red zone. And on to another result from diversified property, landlord and investor GPT Group, who reported a net profit after tax of $1.42 billion, compared to a net loss of $213.2 million in 2020, with investment property valuation increases of $924.3 million. The company predicts a better year ahead as the impact of the global pandemic eases and office and retail conditions improve. Shares of the company traded up by around 1% today. And then next, let's have a look at Horizon, which reduced its interim dividend to preserve cash ahead of the $2.4 billion One Rail Australia acquisition. The rail and logistics company also confirmed full-year guidance of between $1.43 to $1.5 billion in EBITDA, assuming no material disruptions. And then in other news, CSL Limited completed its second round of capital raising for its purchase of Swiss pharma firm Vifor, raising $750 million for a share purchase plan for existing retail shareholders. The company hopes to complete the Vifor purchase by the middle of this year, and they'll announce the first half earnings on Wednesday. But today, shares of the company plummeted by 2%. And then New Hope Corp has hired a new chief executive and new chief financial officer, both appointments effective immediately. Robert Bishop has been appointed chief executive and Rebecca Rinaldi will step into the role of chief financial officer. Today, shares of the company traded up by over 3%. And then looking at the global news today, Asian stock markets fell as oil prices rose amid concerns about possible Russian invasion of the Ukraine. Tokyo's benchmark index fell by an unusually wide daily margin of 2.6%. And then Shanghai, Hong Kong and Seoul also retreated. The Nikkei 225 in Tokyo fell 2.6% and the Hang Seng in Hong Kong lost 1%. Meanwhile, Kospi's Seoul retreated at 1.6% as well. Then on Friday, Wall Street indices tumbled, catalyzed by rising worries over escalating Russia-Ukraine tensions and the prospect of a tightened interest rate hike timeline from the Federal Reserve in response to decades of high inflation. The S&P 500 was down 1.9% and the Dow Jones fell 1.4%, as the Nasdaq Composite slid 2.8% as well. And then in the crypto sphere, the global cryptocurrency market cap dipped 2.14% to $1.86 trillion over the last few hours. And Bitcoin's market dominance rose by 0.31% to 42.60, and the currency was trading at around $41,000 today. Meanwhile, Cardano fell 3.13% and Avalanche tumbled 5.27%. On the other side, Tether was up 0.2% and meme coin Shiba rose 2.96%. And in other news, Coinbase made the first big crypto splash during the year's Super Bowl after the company aired a bold commercial that consisted of nothing but a QR code floating around on the screen for nearly 60 seconds. Plus, Intel is planning to release blockchain accelerators later this year, and the company has lined up some big name buyers. Well, that is all for now on the last trade for today, but tune in next time only on Kalkinemedia TV. This is Holly Shields signing off.